Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. India-China relations on the strain again. No secret to many of us who've been observing these two countries at it for the past more than 1.5 years. With the recent talks stalling and the incursion in two places, some of us are terming them as regular incursions. Some of us want to read a little more deeper into the relations between these two countries. Has China hardened its stance because of India's involvement in various security groupings? I won't call them alliances in this particular region. To discuss all this, I have with me Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, PVSM, AVSM, YSM, SM, VSM, one of the few generals with a large experience on the China border. Today, he is a strategic thinker, a speaker, and a writer. He was recently awarded a PhD degree from the University of Punjab on India-Nepal relations, and he's now a visiting fellow at the Center of Land Warfare Studies. Thank you, sir, for joining me today to discuss this interesting mystery of India-China relations. Sir, to start with the recent incursions, the incursions with India has always been termed as a message that the Chinese wanted to send to India. What do you read as the message that the Chinese wanted to send us this time with these two recent incursions? And of course, the talks that stalled up.
Thanks, Adi. Great to be on your show again. We've had a number of good shows, and I always feel happy talking to you because you're one person it's easier to analyze than with the others. There are 2-3 things I thought I'd clarify before we go further. One is the issue of, you called it incursion, I would call it intrusion. It's a forced entry into our territory. And everything about China, that's something that I've learned, over the years, that everything about China is an issue of teaching us a lesson or signaling. So everything that China does is premeditated, it's pre-planned, and it always comes with a particular message. So let's just talk about from last year onwards what China has wanted to do and why they're not doing it or why they're doing it, why they're not going back or why they've gone back in certain places. Each has a history of its own. You're aware that once China took Tibet and the Dalai Lama actually came into India in 59, China has always been very wary of India, very suspicious of India, because to her Tibet is a core issue, and any threat to Tibet is taken very seriously by China. During the time when Mao was still the leader in 1957-58, he made a statement. It would have been earlier actually, 1950-51, but he repeated in 57 that Tibet was the palm of the hand, and the 5 fingers were Nepal, Bhutan, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh. So when he made these statements, these smaller countries all got very worried because they felt that they were the next in line to be taken by China once Tibet had been taken. So immediately we had the King of Nepal contacting India and saying, look, please help us out to modernize our army. Please come and help us out. Because if you remember, from 1816 onwards, Nepal had been a protectorate or a part of the British Empire. It was not colonized, but just as much colonized. The king remained the king, but the British were the ones who had power over the foreign policy, over the home policy, and over their policy in Tibet. So that was the first issue of Nepal, getting worried and asking us to help them out. So did Bhutan, so did Sikkim, so did, we were very worried about Arunachal Pradesh. But at the end point, that was signaling by China. When in 1959 we had Chau Enlai, the PM, coming over to India and telling us that, look, this is the line that China considers as its own. And these are the places where China feels belong to China. And if you accept these places, then we will sign the we will sign the boundary between India and China. Nehru didn't accept it for obvious reasons, because as per the British mandated boundary, these were way inside the British mandated boundaries. And that was actually the harbinger of the 1962 war. The 1959 line laid by Chow Enlai. I have been a commander in Demchok, commander of 70th Brigade, which which looks after Demchok, Chumar, and the area that is the eastern Ladakh area. And every time we reacted outside what we call the Charding Nala Junction or the new Demchok, China would react very violently. If we crossed the Indus, China would react along the Fukche plains. And if we move towards the Kailash Mountains, so from the Kailash range, China would react violently. So China has always had these red lines. When you're talking of red lines, we also have been very careful, because for a long time, Adi, we were not prepared. We did not have the ability after 1962 war to take them on again. We didn't want to. We felt that we could continue to live a better life without really taking them on, and probably let this boundary issue be sorted by a separate generation with more sense, is what I think was the basics of the previous governments. That maybe 10 years, 20 years later, we make it a non-issue. Let trade be the issue. Let us trade with them. Let us become their biggest trading partner. Maybe in that China might relent. Maybe the regime might change in China. Maybe situations might change. Into this cauldron stepped in Xi and their present president, who now wants to be president for life. And he's the one that started pushing China back into the Mao situation, because he also wants to be president for life like Mao was. And this is his way of creating the insecurity in China, so that the CPC, would want him to be the president for life and for him to continue. So there is an inside part of China and there's an outside part of China. But what you must understand is that the inside part of China always determines what is going to happen on the outside. I started by telling you that nothing in China is done without a scripting from inside. Absolutely. Nothing is done. So because nothing is done, Adi, they have war gamed it, pre-gamed it, decided this is the action that they're planning to take, and this is what they take. And that's how this signaling continues. So these are the signaling. Look, go back to the 1959 line. We are bigger than you. We are making a play for the world's superpower. You're not even a regional power. Our Prime Minister is taking on a larger role in the world. They don't like that. They want us to remain within South Asia and remain subordinate to them.
Subservient, yes.
They didn't like it when Nehru became the spokesperson of the non-aligned world. And they don't like it when Mr. Modi is becoming a larger leader than they expected him to be. So this is what I found when we were talking about China, that their inner parts of their CPC and what's going to happen inside China determines everything that happens outside, and their reactions are determined by that. There is no Chinese leader, general on the spot who will decide yes or no. There's no way. They come fully briefed, Tati. I've seen them we used to have these meetings at Moldo, that is near Rezangla. We used to have these meetings, the flag meetings that they're having now. They're having it at the co-commander level. My time it used to be the commander level. So everything by them was predetermined and pre-decided. They have two lines. They've drawn those two lines. The guy comes to try and push you onto one line. And when he feels that you're not getting pushed onto that line, he has another point of agreement that he will accept. But that is the issue with him. And if you don't accept these two, you don't get any agreement.
So proper salesman.
So this has been, this has been the situation from the beginning, Adi. I've noticed it in 2008, 9 when I was the commander, and in dealing with them, that if you deal with them unscripted, they get thrown. They react violently. But whatever reaction is there is predetermined by them.
A, B, C, D. Okay, fair enough.
The second issue I've noticed with the Chinese troops that I find them, they are extremely arrogant. They're like bullies. In 2008-9, we had protocols which they had been told to obey. So they obeyed them. They're very arrogant. They feel that we had defeated them and this army has to follow what we are saying. That's the issue with the Chinese. Therein lies their weakness. But that we'll talk about later.
Certainly. So obviously this, you brought out something that I've always wondered, that there is always a messaging within the Chinese actions. It may not be the military messaging on a tactical level, but on a larger level, or for example, a strategic level,
there is no tactical level. With them, there is no tactical.
Absolutely.
It's a pre-scripted, predetermined situation. It comes with only two lines. If they agree to this, good. If they don't, you can agree till this point. That's it.
Ye le lo, nahi to ye le lo. Whatever said and done, this you need to agree. Yeah. Fair enough, sir. So, but after this whole recent Arunachal clash that took place in the Yangtze Valley, one of the things that anybody who studies Indo-China relations will realize that these kind of incidents happen every year, especially in that region. It's a yearly affair. June, July, August is something that they, kind of come in every year, do some tamasha and go back. So it's not something out of the blue. Bharoti, yes, it was something new that has not happened before.
No, not new. Bharoti has also happened many times in the past.
Sir,
definitely about 10 times in the past.
Fair enough, sir. But Yangtze, as I'm trying to say, is a yearly affair. It's something that happens over there. That apart, sir, this time the effort by the Chinese to put out videos, to put out photographs, to put out whole lot of propaganda material into the World Wide Web to create a certain narrative, that tells you two things, and I'd like you to comment on this. One, have they actually lost the game in Arunachal this time? Did they get their themselves pushed back pretty hard? Two, there is a certain messaging that they're trying to put out with those videos as well. The virality and the authenticity of those videos is a totally different subject. But how do you see this entire situation?
See, Adi, once again, I have a lot of personal experience in dealing with them. You're absolutely right. Arunachal is a normal situation, but let me just go into the how does this face-off take place? So, there's a patrol of theirs. Normally, they come in larger numbers than us. They will come maybe up to 100 people. They cross the lines that they have determined they will cross. Okay, they cross them. They know that we will stop them. They know it. We are there. We're waiting for them. We have banners with us. We have big banners with us. This is our territory. Please go back. It comes to a point at which, if we have built a bunker and they have reached there before we have, they'll break the bunker. They'll wait for us to come somewhere close by, break it in a violent manner, and then start an altercation. They are filming, and now we've started filming too. But they've been filming from the beginning. In that altercation, the idea is to tell you that this area is disputed. That's the idea. That This area is disputed. We will continue to do this. We also, Adi, are clear. So we have built our bunkers knowing that he will come and try and break them. It is like our outer line. I have one bunker from where I'm fighting, one bunker from where I might fight, and the third bunker for him to think that he can come and break it. Okay. Those bunkers are normally made of stone, which I have picked up from there. He comes and breaks that. I can re-put it back again after he goes. But every time he tries to cross that line, I stop him on that line. It's not the. There has been a lot of physical assaults, a lot of physical holding. We only never used weapons. We never fired on each other. Even in Galwan, we never fired. They used Stone Age weapons, but we didn't fire on each other. Okay, so this is the thing that has been happening at every point. That we have a banner, they have a banner, they have an English translator or a Hindi translator. He comes, they talk, there is 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, as per what they've been told that you will be there for 5 hours. Achha. With the aim, Adi, that he wants to show that this is disputed. We want to show this is disputed, so we are no fools. Like I said, there is one bunker I've kept for fighting, which is placed on an area which is favorable to me. The bunker that he breaks is an area that I've told him this is my line. It is made of loose stones. He comes, pushes it down, films it that he has done this case, and he goes back. This is the entire process that I have faced over my 3 tenures along the line of actual control. In Ladakh, in Arunachal, I have been to Barahoti too, but I haven't seen this in Barahoti. So these are the times when I have we've had a lot of discussions. We have discussions as a captain, you have discussions as a major, you have discussion as a brigadier. The line remains the same. We have stood firm, Adi. We have stood firm. In fact, before Galwan was the Doklam plateau, or what you call Doklam. It was a long, largish standoff for 4 months. But we held firm. We didn't let them get through. They wanted to get inside Bhutanese territory. We didn't allow that because they were threatening the Dokala Pass. Now, the Dokala Pass was something we hold. So we said, we can't allow you to do this. It was not, it was inside Bhutan. They said, no, we won't allow you. Because this threatens our core area. So we have been doing this continuously. We are very measured in our approach. We are very clear about what we do. And as infantrymen, we have been, this is a part of our experience. This is how you deal with the Chinese. At every point. At Barahoti, they come to tell you that this place is disputed. It's disputed, so we'll come there. It's a grazing ground. The places where they come to are grazing grounds in Ladakh. The area of the Galwan Valley, the area across the Indus, these are all grazing grounds where our graziers used to go. And now they say that this is their territory. But this is what they've been saying from 1959. The Chauhan line says exactly that. So this is the issue, Adi. This is how we deal with them. This is how we will continue dealing with them. And we are holding firm. I must tell you that we are absolutely clear of our stand along in eastern Ladakh and in Arunachal. We have earmarked our killing ground. We are clear that we will not let them get through. We are also clear that if they make the first move, it is they who suffer, not us. So these are our issues, Adi. We are monitoring it. We have troops on the ground, and we are extremely clear on what to do.
But why did he release alleged pictures which are...
Now see, you have to take it in the context of the fact that a lot of people have started saying that they had lost a lot of manpower. Somebody said they'd lost 111 people.
Yeah.
They said they'd lost 4. Their,
The graves are 6.
gravestones, graves are 6, whatever be the situation. The issue was that we lost 20.
Hmm.
How else will they tell us that you're lying by other than releasing these photographs and these videos? This is the way to tell us that look, you keep in your place. This is what they did in 1962. If you talk to the prisoners of war, they interviewed each one of them. They filmed them. They told the Gurkhas who were second age GR, which part of that they had, they're taken as prisoner of war, including Dhan Singh Thapa. At each point they said, "You're Gurkhas. You're from Nepal. Why are you our enemy? You're not our enemy." This is the way they deal with you. So they're putting these photographs out to tell you that look, we can do this. You are the one that has lied, and you are not capable of fighting with us. This is to create confusion in our country, create a problem with our army. Let's see how badly your people were hit. You can't fight us. These are the reasons.
With that being the purpose, the whole photography has been very weak, because they came out with the Pakistanis about, I think, 3-5 months ago, and they said that we will be making a movie with the help of Pakistanis on this particular clash. We know that there are some Pakistani actors and some soldiers that are taking part in that entire thing. They've announced it, and they put out the videos from that particular movie, and that's been caught out bang in the open. Do they really think that they are going to be able to influence something like that with people and analyzing all this stuff going around?
Of course they will. Who analyzes? It's you and me who are analyzing. What about the rest of the country?
True.
You see, they want us to question Mr. Modi's leadership. They want us to question the army's integrity. They want us to question the army's ability, and they want to create dismay within us.
Internal weakness.
Internal weakness. That is the way they deal with you, Adi. I've noticed it time and time again. When you meet them, there is one guy only watching you. So we have these long periods of time when they go and they have a break. So after that break, they go inside their rooms, and that guy who's watching you is looking at your body language to tell them what is your point of weakness. That I found the brigadier probably inflexible here, or probably flexible there. Probably push him at this point, or he is weak, or he is strong. This is the way they deal with you.
Mind games.
Yes, always. And they come very prepared, Adi. We when we go into a situation, we are not as scripted as them. They are very scripted.
Fair enough, sir. So, but it's also not easy for the Chinese to deploy in a place like Ladakh. I mean, from having their bases miles and miles away, and the soldiers that are being deployed, they are not sons of the soil. They don't feel for that land. It's not something that they connect with. It's not Han land, to be exact. And I won't call them racist, but yeah, well, it's read between the lines situation. An area that was manned by a battalion or two today has to be manned with certain divisions, with backups, and they're making helipads and this and that. That just also tells you the other side of the story, that they're a bit nervous about what is happening there. Is it that today the situation has led them to a place where they don't have a choice but to harden their stand?
See, Adi, the question should be, can they survive there?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can the Chinese survive there for 1 year or 2 years or 5 years? Will they be, let me just put it the other way around. Let's look at their weakness. How many years can he survive? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? Can we play a game longer than 5 years? That should be our question. Creating infrastructure with the kind of economy he has is not an issue. Can he survive with the troops he has? And for how long is an issue we must talk about. Is he looking for a quick resolution? Anyone looking for a quicker resolution, Adi, will be more aggressive. We have troops from Tamil Nadu, we have troops from Andhra Pradesh, we have troops from Karnataka, we have troops from boys who've never crossed the sea coast. But I had a Madras unit with me. It was the best of the best as far as living in on the Ladakh plateau is concerned. Our troops are surviving. We acclimatize them well. We have processes and procedures and standard operating procedures which make sure that they are capable of fighting them.
True.
Right? And our boys are very strong. Like I said, my Madras unit was one of the best. Similarly, he might over the years develop a similar structure. He might. But does he want to stay there? That's what we have to be looking at. For him to stay there, Adi, for him to put 50,000 troops on the ground, he should be having 300,000 people supporting him.
Absolutely.
We have the support echelons in place. But because we have fought there and placed our troops there for the last 70 years, we are more than capable. And we have made our logistic system so good that we don't have a problem increasing that manpower quickly. He will have a problem. So, like I said, the question that you should be saying is, can he survive that? And for how long? Turning over troops, moving them around, giving troops a rest. It means that 1:6 ratio of troops has to be there. We've been fighting on the glacier. We rotate the troops once every 6 months. Okay? But that's because we have, from 1984 to today, it is 40 years experience. We've been fighting on the Ladakh plateau for the last 75 years. We are clear on how we have to fight. We are holding posts in western Ladakh along the Kargil line, along the Kargil, this thing, at 15,000, 16,000, 17,000 fight. So we have our systems established. Our boys are clear. This is how they're going to fight. They're not ready. And it will take time, Adi. They're not ready and it will take time. Whether he has that time, whether he is on a shorter notice, whether he has to prove something by the time 2022 CPC meeting, whether he's looking for a quick resolution, these are issues we should be looking at as Chinese watchers. What are his critical points? If he initiates an action against Taiwan, how many troops can we keep here? True. Can he keep 300,000 troops here? Can he keep 10 divisions in Tibet and also fight in Taiwan? These are issues. Will his mainland be affected? Does he have internal security problems? Does he need more troops in Uyghur? If he's going to Afghanistan, how many more will he deploy there? Will he be able to increase his strength? Those are the issues, those are the questions that we should be asking. And accordingly, war game. We have over the last 1 year, Adi, increased our strength 6 times.
Correct.
And it hasn't affected our overall deployment.
Yes.
Because we were practicing this. Have you understood?
Absolutely, sir.
So this is the question that we should be asking. Can he stay there? Because weather is harsh, the terrain is harsh. Will the Tibetans join him?
Well, big question.
Will those troops fight for him? These are difficult situations. To make Tibetans fight for him, he has to make Tibet believe in him, trust him.
Assimilation.
With the Dalai Lama still alive, Tibet is not going to trust him. The Tibetan youth are not going to trust him. True. So he has a problem.
There are two incidents.
Our Tibetan youth are willing to fight for us.
Yes.
They don't. Their Tibetan youth are not willing to fight for them.
There are two instances that I'd like to share, with your permission, which substantiate and connect the dot to what you're trying to say. One is the killing of the Major General by the so-called Chinese.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the second is the death of the person who
the Chinese general
at the age of 58 with cancer.
Yeah.
Now that's a little weird because
if he had cancer, why would he be there?
Exactly.
So obviously he died of high altitude regions.
So that's something which is a little weird. And
Absolutely.
there are reports of the troops being moved around every 30 to 45 days.
Yeah, it will happen. We fought in higher altitudes. We fought fighting at 18,000, 19,000, 20,000, 21,000. Bana Post is at 19,500, 20,000.
20,000, yes, sir.
Yeah, we are okay. We have got our systems online. We have got our logistics online. We have got our medical processes online. Our troops are hardier. We are better trained than them to fight in high altitude areas. And I will again say this, that we have war gamed everything. If he thinks he can push us over,
of course. That's the game.
Anyone can write anything, any journalist, anybody can write anything. Let me tell you, Adi, my personal experiences, we can deal with it.
Interesting, sir.
And time is on our hands, not his hands. He's in a hurry.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line I think I'm going to carry from your answer, is that anybody in a hurry will be more aggressive, and one can actually
and he's in a hurry. He's in a hurry. He wants a quicker resolution. Yeah.
He's losing the time for the face saver that he was looking for last year.
Exactly.
So that's a very interesting point. I think it's one of the bottom lines that is going to come out of this talk. So militarily apart, diplomatically, now we see, after this whole time has gone by, India taking a little bit of a harder stand against China. One of the biggest things was the UN conference, which happened in Beijing, wherein one of our diplomats' mic got cut off. All right, but we were able to push a message out that the CPEC goes through our sovereign territory, which we've never said before. It was actually brushed over by the media very easily. More concentration on the mic cutting off, but the concentration on the fact that we've actually mentioned this, excuse me, is a very important thing. Apart from that, sir, the statement that was put out by the Indian Army and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs after the 13th round of Corps Commanders meet was not a reconciliatory one at all, which was the case before for the past 12 times. How do you see this particular pressure being put by India on China now?
I would put it another way. We're not putting pressure. We're merely saying, look, we can stand here. We can outlast you. And we're not worried. That's the issue. Our signaling is very clear. We are not the aggressors, you are. This is our territory and we can stay here. We are better trained than you and we can fight you if you want. But we will be here, and we are absolutely here. That is our situation. And that is the signal, Adi, we've been giving for the last 30, 40 years to them. We will fight you. We don't worry. We are not the army of 1962. Those people fought bravely, but they had no equipment. We have all the equipment in the world. We have best logistics, and we've seen that territory and we know what to do. That territory is ours. True. We very clear about that. I have gone to every step between Sumer and Demchok. Every step. I know every step that he will take to war. Because after all, modern armies fight using ground.
Correct.
And we know every part of that ground.
So
diplomatically, everything.
Diplomatically, do you think is the right way to go by slow and steady increasing that outlook from India, saying that
of course
something that we've not done before?
We should keep looking at them, keep seeing how they react, and we should match tempo for tempo.
So,
absolutely
interesting. So, I'd come down to something which is happening internally, and you mentioned in your first answer that anything that happens externally in China is directly linked with what is happening inside. There are two factors that I'd like to discuss. One is, of course, the failing economy of China, which is coupled with its demography, which is actually slipping. There's a very clear saying that by 2022, China average age would be 48. Their birth rates are falling to about 1.2, which is the fertility rates are falling to
lower than replacement rates. Yeah.
Yes. So it's very worrying for them, and they are trying to do knee-jerk reactions to get this entire thing going. This coupled with the Evergrande issue and the whole lot which is happening is on one side. The second part of it is Xi Jinping himself, who's not left the country for 650 days. That tells you there is something happening within China which may not be very clearly known to a lot of people in the world. How do you think now the Chinese are going to deal with this entire situation with their plans towards Taiwan, with their plans towards India? And I call them number one and number two in their priority list. Taiwan one, and the second would be India. How do you think they will go forward with this entire thing?
See, Adi, I've been a China watcher for a long time. I visited China, spent almost a month in China, visited many cities in China. I was the DA in Nepal. So I during my leave, I went inside China and I have seen their country. China creates what you call an illusion. Everything's an illusion. There is this illusion about China that we are this huge country. We've got beautiful, fabulous infrastructure. We've got all the money in the world. We're a stable political system. And we are better than the rest of the world. There is this illusion in China. To keep this illusion intact, China does what it has to. It hides everything else. If you go to Shanghai, in Shanghai there is something called the French Quarter. Old buildings. They left one building of the French Quarter intact and destroyed everything else. Because they wanted to create new. China has retained nothing of their history. Nothing. There has been a creation that we were the world's middle kingdom, the center of the world starts from us. And we were the superpower. And we will come back to being the superpower. Every leader in China, Hu Jintao, Deng Xiaoping, all counseled, bide your time. This was their counsel. Bide your time. Don't let anyone even know what you're thinking. Take your time. Create your structures. Pull out the billions who were under poverty. Xi, on the other hand, is a man in a hurry. Why is he in a hurry? We spoke about this just in the last question. Because his ground is slipping under him. His economy, which is an illusion, is breaking up. The CPEC has never been successful. It was a concept in which he put trillions of dollars to create the illusion of the greatness of China. But financially, it is a zero. How will China deal with the bankrupt countries of Africa, of South Asia, of Sri Lanka, of Pakistan? Even if they give him the ports, which they've done, Colombo Port Authority or Gwadar or Hanbam Tota, what money are they going to get from it? What trade are they going to get from it? Who is trading with them? Who is coming there? How will they use it? They can use this only in hot war. And in hot war, these countries will close it up.
The first thing that they do is that.
So it's an illusion. And you have created this, you have given billions of dollars into this place. But how will you use it? Of course, you can have submarine docking and so, but submarines are war, of instruments of war. In less than war situations, you cannot use submarines. In gray zone warfare, you cannot use submarines.
Absolutely, yes.
So what do you do? So the Chinese economy is an illusion. The Chinese political stability is an illusion. And Xi's power itself is an illusion. So one day or the other, this house of cards will break. That's what I feel. It will cause a tsunami in the world, but it will break.
So, what do you think India should do, sir? That's my final question. Wait and watch.
Continue to
Hang on.
defend her country, continue to wait and watch, continue to grow as much as you can. And
Windows test.
we should not be emotional about any issue. Nothing.
Thank you,
We
sir, for
must
mentioning that.
be, we must be clear. We have to grow. It doesn't matter whether you have to take Chinese stuff to grow. If you need her CPI or her API for your drugs, you continue to take them. What's wrong? If you need her semiconductors, you continue to take them. Why should you be emotional about it? You need to create your structures. You need to know where you have to go and how you need to grow. That's my personal advice to anybody who's listening.
So that's I think a very pragmatic advice, and I think I'm going to request you when you're back from a little trip that you take. I want to dwell upon this particular point because you've actually mentioned something very interesting. Why be emotional about this whole thing?
Absolutely.
Because what we are seeing today is more of emotions coming out from, I won't want to derail them, but from the so-called strategic analysts who are looking at China, especially online, you're not able to get a clear-cut vision from any of them. Criticizing your own systems and your own, that is easy.
Absolutely.
Give a solution.
Yeah.
Yes.
I read recently one article or small book that they've written, and they've written nothing because they don't know, are they? They haven't walked the area like I have. They haven't been there like I have. They haven't dealt with them like I have. You see? So they will just copy and paste something they've read from America. This is what you don't have. But look what we have. Our sustainability is what we have. Our capability to fight in the most difficult terrains is what we have.
Troop versus troop.
And we will be there. It's our land. So I have no doubt about that.
No, absolutely. So I think that is a very critical point. I mean, emotions and emotionality of any particular
should be thrown out of the window. Should be thrown out of the window.
It's more rationality that needs to be.
Take whatever you can to strengthen yourself.
Absolutely. I think the emotion. If we bring in the emotions, then what's the difference between a Chinese and us? Because every time we do this, they get angry, and that's an emotion.
In fact, I remember, and this is very. It's out of my trip to China.
Sir,
we were standing on Tiananmen Square, and there was this huge statue of Mao pointing in one direction. A very big statue. It dominates the Tiananmen Square. So I asked my guide. I said, all I've seen are shops and trade, huge marketplaces. I said, who's the Maoist here now? Who's the communist left in China? So that guy points to the statue of Mao and says he was the last one. And then he made another statement. If you have milk, you're my mother. The Chinese are transactional. Okay? They are transactional people. We should not be emotional. They are transactional. They'll take what they can from you. You've got to do the same. Yeah. If he's got the API for you, take it. If you've got the semiconductors, the rare earths, take it. Because he couldn't care a damn.
Well, that's true. So in spite of whatever, he's not stopped any trade with us. He's never said no.
Absolutely. He'll never ever say. He might use it as a weapon if we get too dependent on him. So the thing is, don't get dependent. But that should not stop you from taking what you can.
Interesting. So I think this has been a very pragmatic discussion on India and China, which you don't really see around the place, because most of the times when an India-China discussion happens, it goes on to finger 4, finger 8, finger 12, finger 14 and all that stuff, and depsang and this and that. And one thing that you said very clearly, and that is something that I appreciate, the Chinese are not tactical. They're not looking at one peak here and two peaks there.
No. They have scripted everything. So they have decided on that 59 line. They're sticking to that 59 line, and they said, we're going to take you from there.
And one Kailash range here and second Kailash range there wouldn't give a. They won't really care about this, because what they're trying to do is dominate the entire situation, which may be through
Absolutely.
trade, through military, through diplomacy, or wherever they
Everything together.
figure it
Everything
out.
together.
And that's
Everything
something I learned from your talk, and I'd like to thank you for that, sir, because it's a very
Pleasure.
important thing to understand that it's not just the military that is acting against India; it is the whole picture, led
Absolutely.
by the chairman Z, as per se, and
Absolutely.
his rush to kind of get his way out. And of
Yes,
course, the
absolutely.
big bottom line that I take from here,
Create this illusion of victory.
yes, and the big bottom line that I was mentioning is that anybody in a hurry is going to be more aggressive. Sir,
Absolutely.
I'd like to thank you for this wonderful discussion and your experience in the line of control, as well as handling these situations on multiple different occasions. Thank you so much, sir, for another subject, another day. And as I said, we are and we need to dwell upon what India's game should be against China sometime in the future. Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Jai Hind.
Bye. Jai. Thank you.